Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to share with you my thoughts on the Great Burning. This is coming from a clip from a live event, and myself and Dark.Star, aka Patty, are going to explain why we have burnt significant amount of DEC to participate in this, where we're both on the top 200 leaderboard, and why we think this has been a tremendous success. The benefits to the individual at the highest level as well as the lowest level, plus the broader economy. We're talking about all of that today. And if you want to be present at these live events, I recommend you come check out the community tab on the YouTube page, and you can consider getting involved, and you'll be welcome at every one of the weekly lives. Also, I need to shout out to SPLINTERCOACH, sponsored the video. This website will track your personalized battle history, which is going to allow you to do two things within Splinterlands. One, understand how you're winning, when you're winning, why you're losing, and what context, mana cap or rule set. And that information is going to be entertaining to peruse and explore, but it's also going to be educational in that it might actually illuminate something you could change to improve. And if it helps you in that way and makes you a better player, it's going to allow you to extract more reward for the same time and attention. And so splintercoach.com is amazing. Check it out for a week for free. Check out splintercoach.com for more details. Thanks, guys. Let's get into it. Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. I hope you're having a great day. And I'm joined by Dark.Star, aka Patty, from Time and Attention. And Patty, how you doing? How are things?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Pleasure to be on live for a change.
Yeah.
We've done a couple of other videos, haven't we? But not quite like this.
Yeah. How are things? Like, what's going on with Splinterlands for you? And I saw your name on the leaderboard. I think you've taken a bite, right, at this event.
Yeah. I threw in some of what I had. I think I burnt about 500,000 DCB, and then about another 500,000 DC that I had. And I don't know if I'll do any more really now. I was expecting the leaderboard positions probably going to be 50-60 million points for the first position, but that was my guess before today, and it's already, I think we're approaching that already, aren't we? What 40. Are the current top of the... No, it's still only at 40-ish, so yeah, maybe... I was just trying to work out what I thought kind of the tract was worth, and then what people might burn to try and get that, but it's fine if you get it, but it's all those people that are trying to compete for that, the top 5 or 6 that might be competing for the same thing.
That's right.
And obviously it's only really the top prize that's got that level of value return. I mean, the other prizes aren't bad, are they? But nowhere near the same level as that.
No. But I guess there's other variables. I've been thinking the same things you're thinking, and I'm trying to understand where this is going to go. It's already to me, quite impressive, because remember, this is the team giving away the assets that they own, and it's not like they're printing something new to add inflation to our economy. It's like they're giving away things to incentivize the destruction of DEC and the return to peg. So when in that light, I don't understand how anyone ever complained about this, but here we are. We've burnt 200 million DC after 24 hours or something. I don't even think it's really truly 24 hours. I think the update went live, I want to say maybe noon my time. I think may have been noon or 1 o'clock my time. So we're not even, I think we're maybe at 20 or 21 hours right now.
Another hour, an hour or an hour too short. Yeah, I think when it went live.
And so
24 hours.
What is that? A quarter billion have been deleted in the first 24-hour period-ish. And you were speaking about like trying to understand where are they going to reach, and you were trying to understand where they might go before it all began. I didn't really know, but I thought to myself, okay, if a tract of land is worth 15 grand, then somebody probably is willing to put 15 grand in the line. But then if we look at 40 million DEC, is that 40 mil?
Well, no, it's 40 million points, isn't it? Because the
right.
Actual points for this were tripled. So right. It's actually cheaper than that. So it's only a third of that in actual DEC.
So do you divide by 10?
If they had DECB sitting around in the sidelines, they've obviously only paid 80% of face value on that as well.
So so far, hang on a second. You say 40 million points divided by 3 because it was 3 points per DEC, right?
Yeah.
And then so that those have burnt 13 million DEC. Does that sound right? That sounds like such a massive number.
I think if you mouse over, if you go back to the leaderboard, I think you can actually mouse over them and it tells you how what they've contributed.
Oh, so love it.
See there, they've put 9 million DEC in and 4.44444 DCB.
That's interesting because it actually it's kind of pointing me towards something, because I think what I was trying to work out there is that there's so many more complicating factors to okay, if you say a tract of land is worth $15,000, and you might say it's worth 12, and you might say it's worth it's 20 in your mind, but like the other day there was one on the market, non-card market, for 15. And so if you think of that as kind of a benchmark, okay, but the DECB was the 20% discount that you might have bought plenty of very, very recently, and now didn't use it on your land or whatever, and now maybe you have a hoard of it. This guy had 4.5 million. What about this guy?
Yeah.
This guy didn't use DECB. Wow, Cryptomancer didn't drop one DECB. Oh, look at Yabba Matt dropped. Yabba Matt 10 million DECB. That is such a. First of all, I almost want to talk about Yabba Matt and Cryptomancer being on here, because they're both part of the team. But before we go there, I just want to finish this thought about the DCB was a 20% discount very recently. And then if you imagine, even if you say $15,000 is kind of a reasonable target to possibly contribute, because one, you're aiming at a plot, a tract of land, but two, remember you're getting all of these different, like already at 40 million, Housewife and Cryptomancer have got 4,000 plus raffle, tickets essentially.
Yeah.
And those are going to be potentially meaningful with plots of land or Rooney. And so I think, and then you get the guild points. So I think you start to make an argument that no, in fact, even though a tract of land is worth 15,000, I think you make an argument that the top contributors are going to do more than that. And again, if we said 14, what did we say? So we go 13.3 million DEC, and we times that by the price point. It's roughly 0.008. So they're around 11,000 right now. So you can maybe imagine like 60 million might be kind of the ceiling, is what I'm going to say at the top. But 60, and I could even see 70, because you might make an argument around the guild points and around the DCB discount you recently enjoyed, etc.
You're not just bidding. You're not just bidding for that tract of land. That is the ultimate prize, isn't it? But you're also getting a chance at every other prize that's available. It's going to be lotteried. Presume you can win multiple of different types. A bit like the lotteries we did when we were doing the bulk buy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be all distributed kind of in a similar manner. And if you've got 3,000 entries, you've got a good chance of winning bits of everything.
Yeah.
Which is obviously then tallies up. And plus, then you've also, like you said, got the guild power on the back of that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a discussion earlier. People were talking about, what about you could sell guild power, so you could you could spend 50 million DC, get 50 million points worth of guild power, and then you could go into somebody's guild, wait the 7 days until the timer elapses, and you can spend your money to upgrade their buildings. Then you could sell them that DC. They could send you DC back, and you could upgrade them with guild power at a discounted rate. So you're getting some DC back. So even though they put all this in, they could actually still try and profit from it, and then they could leave the guild afterwards. If it's a full donation, then all of that DC they donate would remain in that building.
That's really, I hadn't thought about that angle yet.
I hadn't thought about it now. I thought it was an interesting take. It's not something I'd be doing, but yeah, you never know what somebody might do. If they put in enough to get the first prize, and then they get loads of other prizes, and then they can actually leave the guild they're in to go to another guild and sell it, maybe at an 80% discount. It's a bit like people buying DCB, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I will sell you my guild points for a fee. You can give me 80% of the face value, and I will upgrade your buildings. And
Interesting.
Then getting some of your revenue back.
Interesting. I think that I think there definitely will be a certain participant who will play that angle. Does that mean, though? Help me understand how that. Just think that through a bit. Is it not the case that when you have guild power, that, as I understood it, like 9/10 of it remain with your account, and 1/10 of it stays permanently with the guild within which you contributed it? Is that accurate?
It can do that. It can do that. Or when you donate it, it can be a full donation, so that 0 of it comes back to you when you leave the guild.
Oh.
Wow. So I imagine when you're doing kind of when people are paying fees, you might say that fees have to be done as a 100% donation, so they can't take that back when they leave. Or you might not. But then you say any additional contributions you choose to make to the guild, you can do it, so you can withdraw 90% of it.
Wow. I think that's really, really interesting to think through right now, even as the burn is just kind of only 1 day old, and imagining that's a new angle. That's another angle I hadn't thought of. And again, I'm as like leader of time and attention, I'm not going to be bouncing around to try and find an angle here, but there should be people that are going to like, that should be one more thing among 5 or 6 amazing things, and maybe even 10 if you count like each of these potential rewards individually, that should be deeply exciting about burning DEC. And so I saw some people who, you know, even time and attention guys who I respect, who don't think this is a great idea. Like, they just think, you know, and I can't agree less. I mean, this is a voluntary contribution by those who want to delete their own DEC, which is going to help our community. It's voluntary. It's not mandatory. And
it's significantly better. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Just one more thing. It's voluntary, and then it benefits our community, and the prizes are all things that Splinterlands, you know, owns themselves. They're not printing new inflation. What were we going to say though?
I just think it's significantly better than the DECB thing that they did.
Mm-hmm.
All DECB did really was kick the can down the road, didn't it? You burn DC now to get a discount on what you're going to spend your DC on in the future. That's all that really does. Is it's almost inflationary, because it means people are actually getting more value for that DC that they had, because they've got more DCB. So what you're better off saying is, rather than do that, just get the things out that people want to spend that DC on. Then it will cost them more than what it would have done if they used the DCB. So I didn't think that was a great thing, and I think this is certainly better than that. But I can see why people think it's not brilliant. But again, it doesn't, like I said, I mean, what are the guild fees? Have got to be about 500 DC's got to be kind of a minimum guild fee, hasn't it? You would have thought.
Yeah.
Per season.
Yeah.
So it's about one season every 2 weeks, is there?
Yeah.
So say 26 a year. So that's 13,000 DC there. So if you just burn 13,000 DC to get some points on this leaderboard, then you'll get chances at winning prizes.
Yeah.
And then you can use that money to pay the fees that you would have had to pay anyway while you're in the guild, but you're also going to get a chance of winning prizes back.
Yep.
And that what's not to like in that regard.
If you go just a little bit further to 13,333 and times it by 3. Okay, maybe call it 13.5. If you go 13.5, 13,500 DEC, and you times it by 3 points, you're gonna get 4 raffle tickets. If you do it like in the next 60 minutes or something like that, like, because you'll still be I think you're still qualifying for that 3 bonus points per. And so you're right. You're going to pay for that year worth of fees that you're going to pay. Either you're going to pay that here with this guild, or there if you move, or, you know what I mean? It follows you. So it's like, it's not even like you've lost that element. It's really still, it literally is like this double dipping opportunity where your DEC is going to be spent, if you're in a guild already, it's going to have usefulness in participating and paying those dues, like you just said. And you're going to expect some dues, regardless of whether you're with guild 1, 2, or 3. And then ultimately you potentially could leverage it into like a free Rooney, and that's just wild to me. Like you know, that's obviously one of the juiciest. But I mean, heck, if you got an alpha pack, you'd be happy. If you got a land plot, you'd be, I think, overjoyed. If you got even an untamed pack, or even if I get anything, I'm going to be, because again, I'm happy with just the guild power, which I eventually want to use anyways. And then the possibility of just, I think, ultimately of helping the process in the game that I really, you know, I'm in other ways. That's the other thing too. When we do this, presumably you have like significant amounts of assets in the game. This Splinterlands game is important to you. The finances in the future and the economy are important. It almost by design, like by necessity, because you're an investor in it. And so every DEC I see burned, I keep checking this leaderboard. I keep seeing this DEC burn, and I keep saying to myself, wow, like, that's great, man. 205, like almost like 1/5 of $1 billion have gone. And I forget the last count, but I think we're around like 5 or 6. I think it's around 6 billion that exist, if I remember correctly. That's available. Let's go see. Do you know how many DEC there are?
I'm not sure. Lots.
Yeah, I think it's around 6 billion, and I'm pretty sure there's an easy way to figure this out. Is it on Splinter Cards?
Splinter Cards, yeah, probably. I presume it has something on that. I mean, do you reckon we could burn 1 billion then throughout this?
I'm starting to believe maybe. I heard Aftersound suggest that probably in the neighborhood of, I think he said like around the half bill, but then he was like, maybe we could do 1 billion, and like, you know, uh, obviously the first day people are going harder than they're going to go later.
Yeah.
But
I think the first 7 days is really key. I think
yeah,
after that, because of the way it drops off more and more the longer it leaves, I think unless we've got well over, like, kind of, you probably need to be 2/3 of the way there, don't you? After
yeah,
7 days, I think.
yeah. I can't. Okay, here we go. DC. I thought it would show. So.
I'm sure it probably does, but there's so much now on this page, isn't
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm certain it's here somewhere. I don't. And if somebody in the chat knows, I'd love to see. I want to know precisely how many DEC there are.
Yes, isn't there about? Yeah, I thought there'd be a section just like the SPS one there. I thought there'd be a section. Oh, there's DC supply there. 4.922 million on the right hand side. Just under where it says hive. Under there.
Okay, yeah.
Block.
So
it shows how much has been burnt in the last 60 days.
So
1 billion burnt in the last 60 days.
So there's 5. That's saying there's 5 billion, right? Yeah. 4,900 million is 5 billion, I think.
Yeah, 4,900 million.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 5 billion, and yeah, we like if we even get a half a billion out of this process, I say first of all, because of the investment that came from it, like it coming from the team, I think that's a huge win. But there's other huge wins that are happening here too, and one of them, okay, two that come to mind, and I'll say them both, and I'll let you say where you think merits more conversation. One, the team showing confidence in their game. Yaba, Cryptomancer, and others just pouring out the pockets, deleting millions of DEC to try and contribute into this thing that some of us who trust them understand they believe in us, but that's them putting their money where their mouth is. And then also, this is creating, even if you don't want to participate in this, there's incidental good that's coming out of it, probably for other people who are just getting started. Because one thing I'm seeing is like Chaos Legion packs back down to $1.35. That to me says that people are selling Chaos Legion packs because they want to access DEC, because they want to participate in this. Because the price of Chaos Legion packs has shot down, and cards too,
half, isn't it?
And cards too, like. I think in the last 2 weeks very prominently, and I think it's because people are selling what they can to move into the burn because of the opportunity. So that's short-term bad. You want your cards to go up, but long-term good, because if people are building decks, they have an opportunity. So there's two goods. I'm seeing a confidence from the team in their choice to invest, and I'm seeing reductions in prices. And if you're bullish long-term, that's a good thing. Any thoughts on either of those points?
Ooh, probably on both. I mean, I'm not sure if I'd say that. I think the falling prices perhaps has more of an issue, or is more to do with bots selling off due to the kind of the measures coming in place to make it more difficult for them to kind of run bot farms and whatnot. Obviously, I don't think the changes are going to affect people with the high-end bots as much, but those that are running 100, 200 accounts might find it ever more difficult with SPS coming in and all those other bits. So I think it might have been that created the dip in card prices, and then when the card prices started crashing, I think the packs themselves dropped in value accordingly. I don't think it would have been the other way around, but it's possible. And regarding the team, it was strange because again, it was another argument that Mad Chat was having, and I didn't think myself where I kind of sat on it. It's like, well, it's quite good that they're contributing, but I wouldn't really have expected anyone from the team to contribute. It's not that they can't or they shouldn't, but it's normally that thing, isn't it? It's another grey area, isn't it, where you think, well, nothing really stopping them because it is money they earn and they can. But then they're competing for the same assets as everybody else, and if people think that them buying 10,000 DEC worth to get the 30,000 tickets won't get them very far, they'll feel even less of that case when the Mac comes in and just dumps. What was it? 13 million to get struck to 40 million.
Yeah, about 10 million.
Oh, 30 million, yeah, 10 million, so.
And crypto did 13 million.
Yeah.
Cryptomancer, I forget what his role. He's like one of the major developers. But yeah, that's an interesting like sub conversation around. Matt has said, I forget where, but he said more than once, and I'm not sure everyone knows this, but they've pointed to the fact that they don't want to be the leaders of Splinterlands, the game. So they actually want to be participants in that ecosystem. So they want to be like a third, almost like the Splex type contributor, or the Peak Monsters type contributor that partners with the DAO, which should oversee at one point in the future, should oversee where we're going, what we're doing, what we're developing, what we're commissioning, because we will commission different things. We'll say, hey, we want X. And we already have, haven't we? Didn't we? Wasn't Ruz like a product of like an idea, a DAO related idea? I forget now.
Yeah,
But
that was a vote, I think.
yeah. And so we will commission different things as we go forward. And then Splinterlands, the development team, the company, will often be the provider of those services, I would argue. But that's from a perspective of like a contract basis, not from like a CEO running the show, and delineating like where we go and when and why. So I don't think most people get that. But then when you, and I bring it up in this context, in this conversation, because should they be allowed to participate in something like this is like an interesting conversation. I mean, for one thing, I think it shows, I do think it shows their confidence in it and their desire to see the same goals they tell us that are so important, like the return to peg with DEC. But you might say, like a cynic might say, hey, it's so stupid. Like they come in and they drop millions of DEC, and that's why they give away these amazing prizes, because they know they're going to win them. Well, they don't know anything. They don't know that they're going to win, because as you see, there's millions and millions contributed by other people who are not part of the team and who just are interested in the same interest, the self-interest of earning those rewards, the self-interest of seeing DEC return to peg. So I would disagree with someone who felt like they shouldn't be allowed, but it's a worthwhile conversation.
Yeah.
No,
I think I'd be probably, if I had to vote on whether they were allowed to kind of participate, I'd probably say they could.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it depends on the nature of the event they're running and what they get from it. Like in this instance, I don't know if it's all like the insider trading style of things. It's not something really you see in the Web3 stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't normally get people that are the CEOs and that run the company playing on a level that they are and interacting with the community in the same way. So it's a very odd dynamic.
That's right.
I think the danger is when they introduce something like this. Well, what happens if they've gone and bought all their DEC when it was on the market at 0.5 and it was really cheap? I mean, I suppose as well, was Rooney's? There was a few things that who was it? I think it was Agred, wasn't it? Who was buying up? Was he buying up a load of Rooney's?
They
when
both
they were
were.
at floor price.
They both were.
Yeah,
they both bought 20 or 30, I think.
That's fair enough, because they knew. I mean, they were trying to tell people that they were going to have functionality in the future, but the difference is than what they were telling you. They don't always follow through on exactly what they say, whereas they know what they're going to implement into the game. So they're kind of like, obviously, they're buying assets up at dirt price, and then they're actually then inflating it with their own press releases. Then they could sell into that. And I'm not saying they would or they do, but they certainly could, and that could be a very grey area in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see the like cause for concern and the question around, how much is too much, and like where does that line in the sand? And sometimes I think humans want very clear black and white lines, and I don't think I don't think we can bring that to like a blockchain based video game where you actually own the resources, because the developers are, by like absolutely core, they're trying to create two things: one, a game that's fun, and two, an economy that works. And that means that there's going to be a degree of scarcity, and presumably, again, if it's a game that's fun and if it's an economy that works with scarcity and stuff like that, then that's going to mean appreciation. And so there's definitely a self-interest tied up in their choices to acquire Rooney or to DEC or SPS or whatever. And yeah, they have more resources than us, and they've been in here longer because they created it. So they're going to have bigger bags of these things. And sometimes it's going to look like they're buying up a crazy amount of these resources, but for them, it's, a drop in the bucket, really. They're just supporting the thing they're excited about. And then we say, as part of us is like, well, I mean, like, is that manipulation? Is that, if that happened in corporate America with and it does sometimes actually happen, by the way, like there are stock buybacks, that is essentially a company will borrow against their own valuation. So Tesla's worth, I don't know, they're worth, imagine Tesla and everything is worth $1 trillion. Then they go to the bank with that portfolio because Tesla is a stock company, and they can say, look, our stock is worth $1 trillion, and then the bank will lend the money against that value, and then they'll use that money to buy back their own stocks, which drive their own stock prices higher, which allow them to sell those stocks they just bought for higher. It's like this literal manipulation. And so you might argue that it's something like that's happening. And I can't entirely disagree, but what I'm saying is it's different in the context because that distinction that's being, maybe it's only now being drawn, but the distinction that's being drawn, or that's being firmed up, that the DAO will run things, is going to transform the relationship of Agrid and Matt, who we think of as the leaders, as not the leaders, but as participants. And that transformation is then, well, I wouldn't ever tell Patty he can't buy, 20 Rooney or 30 Rooney, or no one would tell Dwayne he can't buy 20 or 30 Rooney, or whatever the case may be. And so, but we don't, again, we want black and white. Sorry, I hit the mic there. We want black and white. We want clear sort of lines in the sand. And sometimes it's not that obvious and not that easy, especially I think as we try to change our views on who Matt and Agrid even are as participants, not as the leaders exactly.
Yeah, I think it's always difficult when you're at the kind of cutting edge of something.
Mm-hmm.
And it is obviously Splinterlands is one of the cutting edge kind of gaming kind of things. They're evolving a lot of new ideas, and it's difficult to have that black and white.
Mm-hmm. I saw some
it's not as clear to get what everybody wants, is it? In that regard.
I saw a good comment from Gathering. He mentioned that in fact it's far more than I was alluding to, because he goes, looks like 324 million burned, and because I wasn't actually adding in the DCB. So yeah, I mean it's 205 million DC and 120 million DCB, and some will say, well, yeah, sure, but the DCB couldn't be used in any other context or whatever. I mean, yes and no. There's going to be, first of all, there are still more plots of land that with which this could have, I guess, been used. And if this isn't being used, this DCB that just got burned in this burn isn't being used on those other plots of land, then that means that presumably other DC has to be used in that context. If they want the plot, if they want the the temporary totem, or the the building in a box, or the, I forget what the other one, the time crystals. And so every DC or DCB that goes away is a good thing unto the goal of returning to peg. So yeah, it is awesome to know we're over 300 billion in total, which is crazy after day one. And then one more note from the audience. Paul said most are going to do the first day, and that's totally true. Interestingly, as we look at those who have already gone, like in the first day, and we talked about 15,000 as a attractive land price point, and maybe a basis for kind of understanding what the bigger leaders are going to contribute. I think we did the math, and 13 million. I think what was the number? So they've got 40 million points so far. 40 million, and then we divide that by 3, and that's the amount of DC that they've theoretically burned, or DCB. Then we times that by the price of it, and so they're in that 10,000 ish range dollars. And so you could imagine kind of a 50% more increase if we go back to the page here. So if they burned 40 million, maybe they could go up to 60 million and still be kind of in that 15,000 price point to try and win that tract, and thereby get a tract of land for a reasonable price. But I actually think some of these people, Housewife, Cryptomancer, some of these major competitors might even go, if they get pushed, if there's a real push, you could see maybe even 80 mil, because you'd be spending at that point, $20,000, let's say, US dollars worth of DC. But again, there's more than just the tract. there's all those raffle tickets for all those amazing things. There's guild points, and there's even, you know, if you're that guy, maybe you do have like a variety of, you know, you close friends and big investors that you could sell your guild power to or something in the future dates. So there's different considerations that maybe drive it past not 40, not 50, not maybe even greater than 60 million DC points, 60 million points, which is in the neighborhood of, that would be, I'm getting confused now. I think 20 million DC. Yeah, roughly 20 million DC might be 20 to even 25 million DC. Like 60 to 80 is kind of what I'm saying is like gonna be number one. 60 would make more sense, but I could see even 80 because of all the incidental benefits. After, do you have like do you think I'm way off there, Patty? Do you think 40 is gonna 50? Like, where do you think for number one?
Well, my initial thoughts before we started putting money in was between 50 and 60, but I could see it potentially going somewhat higher than that, just because that was really based off just the value of the top prize. But there's obviously all the chances there. I mean, you look at the top couple of people there; they're going to get 4,000 chances at receiving prizes.
Yeah.
And I think at the current number of DC burnt, because I did some calculations yesterday, I think that works. They're about, I think it's about $234 on average per prize. Out of the 3,000 prizes. I have to check this maths now because I did this quickly last night and I don't want to be talking too much rubbish.
3,000 prizes, 2,000, 2,500.
So there's 3,075 prizes. So basically, I quickly went into the marketplace in Splinterlands and pulled out the value of each of those prizes, and then worked out what the total value of all of them together was. So I got that there was only got 72,000 worth of prizes in that, but that doesn't include the leaderboard prizes. So it's potential that the leaderboard prizes might be the other, you know, maybe it's about 75 each, 75 for the leaderboard people, and then 75 for the. Oh, that doesn't seem quite right, does it? Because there's the tract, isn't there, which was the top prize, but that was maybe 15,000. And I can't remember how much land also was available for the top for the next 9 people. There's a fair bit more there.
100, 200, 300. 330 plots of land are available for the leaders, plus the titles. Remember, they're probably putting some value on the title.
Yeah. So, well, actually, I mean, yeah, those 330 plots are worth nearly 50 grand, and then the tract itself is worth 15. So that would bring up the value from up to about 135, and then plus then if they're giving some value to all of the titles, then yeah, that would be reasonable. And if we're working off, if that is correct, then yeah, the average value of a prize would be $234.
So then one more question on this, and we've got 11 TNA on the top 200 leaderboard right now. We had as many as 14 yesterday, and we're slowly dropping because a few of the guys are just kind of holding on at the bottom here. I see Skeeter's in there. Skeeter was in the chat earlier. I'm not sure if he's still here, but Skeeter's at 175. Where do you think, Patty, what's going to be a kind of a cutoff from a points perspective to get into the top 200, or maybe more to my heart, what's going to take to get it the Incinerator Epic title? Because I actually want the Incinerator. That'd be rad. I don't just want the Scorcher.
So what's it looking like at the moment then for the top 60? What do you need to be in the top 60 at the moment?
So first of all, top 200 is like not like coming around. Okay, so I bet you're going to need at least 1 million points, I think.
Almost 1 million at the moment, isn't it?
You're gonna need 1 million, maybe even 2 million to stay in top 200, I think. But then 60 right now is 3.3 million points. So that's right. And hey, there you go. That's a TNA, Big Dutch. Love it. So I don't know. What do you think? That's not going to hold, right? We're going to see more and more of these big boys. More and more of these big boys are going to get pushed down, because a few of the contributors here are going to come in still today and tomorrow.
I can see it being double that. I could see it being 6 million points maybe for the at least. Like I say, we're only 24 hours in, aren't we?
Gosh, my goodness. And I started off at number 27 on the rank yesterday when I put in, and I'm down to 87. Wow. 2.4 million points, and and it's just kind of like cute. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm in there. I love that Necro's right above me, and then Blaze is right below me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no man, I think maybe you're right. Maybe it is going to be the 6 million point. So 6 million points would equate to 2 million DC. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Well, on day one, I can't remember what day was it about. What was the percentage decrease? It was a small factor, wasn't it? Every day that you
yeah.
get less points every day.
It's point
I can't
one.
remember exactly what the.
It's point one. So it says it's going to decrease equally across a month. So you're going to go 3 points on day one, 2.9 on day two, 2.8, 2.7, 2.6 until you get down to, see, players will receive 3 points for each DC or DCB that is burned, and the number of points received will decrease an equal amount every day until the final day, and you'll receive 1 point. So the division is, well, actually, it's going to be different than that, because if the final day is 1 point, not 0 points, then you actually have 20 basis points with which to move from top to bottom.
It's falling by 2, isn't it?
Is it? Is that what it is? It's
falling by 2 points over 30 days.
So 20,
so it'd be,
and then 20, essentially 20, like 2 points divided by 30 would give you the daily differential.
So yeah, it's 0.066.
No,
it falls per day.
Okay, so that much a day. So then day 2, so hang on, let's go -3. So day 2 should still be at like a pretty substantive 2.93 points per DC burned. But yeah, earlier better. And like you said earlier, the first week is going to be really telling. There might be like last minute fights between like 1 and 2, or you might see fight. The other thing is, it's not just going to be fights between 1 and 2. It's going to be fights between 2 and 3, and fights between 3 and 4, and all the way down where people at 59 and 60, or sorry, 60 and 61, where you get that incinerator. So there's actually going to be a crush, I think, for the full. I'm going to say, even first 2 weeks is really good, but the first week you're going to see a lot being decided.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter about people in 4th competing for 3rd and 2nd and 1st, because if you're just after the top 60 places, it doesn't matter whether the top 5 burn 500 billion DC each. It doesn't cost you any more to stay in the top 60, because that's just people at the top getting ridiculously overinflated above everybody else. I suppose it's only how much people are willing to pay to stay into that top 60 spot that becomes relevant.
Yeah, and then that is going to be a fight between 61 and 60, but it's not just that, because as 61 pushes 60 higher, then 59 has to fight to keep their spot, and so on. And so yeah, I think it's going to be exciting to watch, not just 1 and 2 and 3, but actually, in the 50 to 70 range, as well as even the like who's holding on at the bottom there.
Yeah, I think 50-70 should be an interesting kind of range to watch how the points are between those two. Because they're the people that are going to think, oh, actually, I could just a bit more and I could push up into this.
Yeah.
And it might be that if the people at all the way up to 80 have got very close in points to people at 70, they might then go, actually, I could push into 60 as well. So it depends how much of a spread there is between the people at the different levels, doesn't it, as well?
One more comment though from Brandon. He goes, "Ugh, the pull is real. Burned more today just to stay on the leaderboard." Yeah, Vetvi, where are you at, brother? I saw you on there. There he is, number 54. He's fighting. Fighting to stay in that top 60 to get the incinerator. I really, really want to get one of the titles. It looks like I'm not reasonably gonna be able to fight for the top 60. I thought I was. I thought with 800,000 DC the other day, I was going to be top 60, but it's, even after day 1, it's not true. So are you going to do you care about top 60?
No, I don't think so. I've burnt what I had available. If I start burning any more, it's going to be eating into what I'm trying to reserve for land uses, staking on land when that comes out. And
yeah,
I already don't have any money for any of the new sets that they're going to release at some point. So
yeah, me too. Like I burnt everything I had, and then I sold, and then I have 157,000 DC. I sold a bit of SPS because I need DC for my land. I don't have nearly enough. I have 23 plots of land, and I think I have enough cards that I could that I theoretically could maximally, fill them out, but that would be another million DEC that I'd need. So I got to fill the bag before I can empty it again on something else.
Yeah, I'm still way off. I haven't even worked out how much DC I actually need. I've only got enough cards to fill about 60% of my plots. And that isn't necessarily optimally either. I need to work out exactly, because I've not revealed them yet. So
over 65,000 tickets or so now. No point in burning a little now to try for a prize. Go big or just burn to help the guild. Well, remember the lottery ticket side of it is like sometimes incidental. So I understand your math. You're saying like it's highly unlikely if I buy one raffle ticket that it won't pay off. I get that. But what you have to remember too is that like we said earlier, you're going to burn money. You're going to give DEC to the guild to burn into guild buildings over the next year, regardless of whether whether you participate in this burning or not. So, but then because of guild power and because, you can imagine 500 DEC a month, or sorry, a season, you could just burn that, 15, 20,000 DEC just to get the points that are going to amount to a year or a year and a half of your, and then you're also going to have, you're right, probably you're not going to win, but you're going to get a chance to win something cool, which is cool. I mean, even if, like, okay, you say 65,000 tickets or so now. I'm just going to trust you on that. But imagine even there's double. Like, let's say we burn double what we've already burned. I think that's a lofty goal. I think it's possible. That would put us in the 600 million range. But let's say we double it. So you got 65. You're talking 130,000 tickets, raffle tickets, and you're talking. Did we say 37? How many prizes again? 3,500 prizes. So yeah, those odds aren't great. But again, that's not, I mean, are they terrible? I mean, really, is it like, okay, what is it? 65,000.
I think there's 3,075 prizes for the lottery bits, I think. And the other prizes are like leaderboard prizes and potentially.
Yeah. But what are the odds of winning? Like from just non-leaderboard? Theoretically, we've got 65,000 tickets that have been given out already. And we times that by 2, assuming maybe we're going to burn double what we've already burned. Maybe we do more, but just as a point of conversation, let's imagine we burn 600 million DEC. That's going to be 130,000 raffle tickets that are out there. And then there's 3,500 prizes available to non-leaderboard participants. And so would I divide it by 3,500? I think so. I think this is the number. 1 in 37? Pretty reasonable. Like, that's not nothing. Let's put it that way. And the prizes are pretty juicy. And the incidental guaranteed benefits are, again, if you're going to spend 10,000 DEC on burning into your guilds anyways over the next year, might as well, do this and have a chance at something that turns into like a Rooney or whatever. This is a good point though. Gathering says, like, for whatever the odds are, I'd rather get guaranteed Chaos Legion packs. And I see that. Especially for some people, if like they don't have a ton of DEC, like burning holes in their pockets, I think you made it. It was your point, Patty, about look, you're going to pay dues in your guild anyways. I think it's a great point. But for some people, they don't have 10 or 20,000 DEC that they're just sitting on constantly. And so maybe every season or month, they're finding that 500 DEC for their guild contribution. And then they're also every now and then buying a Chaos Legion pack because that's kind of fun. So that's like a different audience. And I kind of get that. But if you do have 15,000 DEC and you do plan to it's no problem to you to just put that into this, man, that's going to take care of your year. It makes so much sense. Take care of your guild contributions for a year. It's going to follow you around. It's going to give you a chance at lottery for one of these crazy things. Yeah,